This is that time of year in the NFL when a team looks at its collection of free agents that they had prioritized in some way, and then look at its collection of draftees, which obviously they love them all. That's the pinpointed guy. We really wanted that guy. And the next thing you know, once valuable NFL free agents who are still on the shelf stay on the shelf, which takes us to the scoop on Gerald McCoy. Mike Fisher reporting from Frisco, home of the Dallas Cowboys, where, and this is a theme now, and I've talked about this a lot, and I've explained it, I think, in great detail, and now you're seeing it in action. We reported yesterday that the Cowboys were not interested in Jeff Heath, even though, listen, he's a Cowboy. What do you mean you're not interested? Well, they've turned the page. Now, two sources tell me about the Cowboys' thoughts on Gerald McCoy. Remember, this team was infatuated with Gerald McCoy last year, who has regional connections, is a high-quality guy, and when he was young and healthy was one of the best there was of his generation. He comes here. They have the clause in his contract saying if you hurt that particular part of your body, we'll get to unplug the whole thing. First day of training camp, Gerald McCoy hurts that particular part of his body. It was a quad, as I recall. And out he goes. He goes into surgery, I think, and rehab. And what does Gerald McCoy do because of his qualities as a person? He befriends the young Cowboy players. He's on Zoom meetings with them, and he's on social media with them, and then he's messaging them, and they're doing videos together, and they're studying. It was really a revelation for people that didn't know Gerald McCoy. From his hospital bed, he's helping coach up the Cowboys kids. And before the draft, Cowboys COO Stephen Jones actually mentioned Gerald McCoy as one of the guys that was going to be a core roster member. And then it didn't happen. And it didn't happen some more. Gerald McCoy, there's been a couple conversations about how he would like to return to the Buccaneers. Obviously, that's where he grew up as a player in Tampa. And he'd like to return to Dallas, where, again, he has his ties. I don't know anything about what's going on in Tampa Bay, but we pride ourselves on knowing what's going on here. It's a no. That's a no for me, dog, as I used to say on American Idol. And it is no disrespect to this terrific guy, a great guy to have in the locker room if you would have had him in the locker room, and instead he did his thing the other way. The phrase that I keep using is the phrase that I keep hearing when the idea of some old veteran comes up. Turn the page. We've turned the page. And again, look what the Cowboys have done. I mentioned Dunlop the other day. I meant Watkins, my mistake. Watkins as defensive line help. Osa in the draft as defensive line help. Urban in free agency as defensive line help. And then some level of belief, I guess, in the guys they already have. And then, oh yeah, don't forget, Hannah, the 6th-round nose tackle. And the next thing you know, not only is Gerald McCoy not on this team's wish list, but Antoine Woods is sent packing. So it's a shame in terms of the quality of a guy and all the things he brings. He is now, Gerald McCoy, in his 30s. So I can see why the Cowboys don't even want to take a low-risk gamble here. And as always, when I talk to Cowboy officials, they will politely say not interested at this time. Things can change down the road. They could change down the road for Jeff Heath. They could change down the road for Gerald McCoy. They could change down the road for a lot of guys. But the Cowboys have turned the page here. So the scoop du jour. Gerald McCoy does not want to retire. Gerald McCoy has an interest in returning to Dallas and Tampa. And at this point on the free agency for sale shelf, maybe an interest in whoever will be interested in him, but it's not going to happen with the Cowboys. They have made their bed elsewhere, and they say a fond and polite adieu to Gerald McCoy, who wasn't able to contribute on the field, but did everything he could off of it. And now, hopefully for him, we'll get the chance to do that for another NFL team, but not in Dallas. Fish in Frisco with the Cowboys.